Good evening. A long-anticipated review into the distribution of farm subsidies between Scotland and the rest of the UK has been delayed. Top-up payments were issued by the EU because hill farmers in Scotland were paid a lower-than-average subsidy, but the funding was distributed across the UK. Our Rural Affairs correspondent Kevin Keane reports.
Hill farming makes up the bulk of agriculture in Scotland, and 5 years ago this sector was identified as receiving some of the lowest levels of subsidies in Europe. A top-up or uplift payment worth close to £1 billion was issued to the UK, but instead of coming to Scotland it was distributed across the wider sector. Farmers' leaders have long said that's not acceptable.
It seems to be a delaying tactic because this issue should have been sorted years ago. They've had the opportunity, we've had promises from George Eustice, we've had promises from previous Secretaries of Agriculture, and it's not happened yet. It needs to be getting done.
After years of pressure in 2017, the UK government agreed to review the distribution of the top-up subsidy. The terms of the review have been settled, but now Michael Gove has written to his Scottish Government counterpart saying there's a delay and that it's being held up by the Treasury.
The UK government have stalled and delayed on going ahead, despite the fact that Michael did give me his word that this review would go ahead.
I don't believe anything significant has happened in this letter. It just says that we're still working hard on it. We haven't quite got all the things in place, but nothing to say that this is going to be delayed in any significant way.
DEFRA says it's considering the review alongside wider funding implications post-Brexit, and it insists farmers across the UK will be fairly treated. Kevin Keane reporting, Scotland.
Campaigners for more awareness of the condition ME describe it as a living death. At a rally in Edinburgh, they've called for action to tackle the illness, which they claim affects more than 20,000 Scots. Laura Maxwell reports.
Empty shoes sent by those who are too ill to attend in person. Each pair tells the story of someone with myalgic encephalomyelitis, or ME. Unable to live an ordinary life due to crushing tiredness, they call themselves the missing millions.
I had to give up everything, work and college and pretty much all my friends as well. You start your life again.
We're not gonna sit in silence. We're not gonna live with fear.
Organisers here say thousands of people across Scotland have the condition, but there are no ME consultants and just one specialist nurse.
There's very little education. The little that there is erroneous and harmful to many patients. And our NHS is amazing, but how can doctors and nurses treat us if they aren't given the tools to treat us properly?
But we're still waiting for that cure.
The Scottish Government says it's ensuring those with the condition can access the best possible care and support. It's recently announced funding for a research post and says it'll continue to work to improve awareness of ME. Laura Maxwell, reporting Scotland, Edinburgh.
A community organisation in Dumfries is bidding to become the first town in Scotland to buy back its high street. It hopes to transform the Downetheel Centre with urban homes, social enterprises and local businesses. Lorna Gordon reports.
It's a familiar image, a high street lacking shops and homes and getting emptier by the year. This high street, though, is fighting back, and Evie Copeland is part of a group of locals leading the charge.
We've got a dream to change the face of our high street and bring a bit of love back to Dumfries Town Centre.
And you are from Dumfries, aren't you? So this must be something you really care about.
Absolutely, lifelong Doonhamer. I'm so proud to come from here. All I want to do is make it somewhere for everybody to be proud of.
The challenges here are not unique, but the people driving this project think they've hit upon a really novel way of regenerating the centre of this town.
Scottish land reform legislation could be used here in a way not seen before. And the community will be able to buy shares in the scheme too.
We have a recognised culture of community land ownership, particularly across the Western Isles and in the Highlands. This is taking the whole thing to a new level that's being watched closely by urban communities across Scotland.
And for people like John Dowson, one of just a handful of residents left on the street, change cannot come soon enough.
But I would really like to have some neighbours, When I look out this window, I'm looking out sometimes in the desert, and I would really like to look out this window and see a lot of people living close to me, because that's where you get a feeling of community.
If people power works here in Dumfries, others could follow, using land reform legislation to save their high streets and bring life back into the centre of their towns. Lorna Gordon, reporting Scotland, Dumfries.
Now football, and Partick Thistle's 1-0 win at Dundee means Ross County have been relegated. Thistle now face Livingston in a Premiership playoff. Ross County drew 1-1 with St Johnstone and Motherwell beat Hamilton 3-0. Now the latest on the weather with Judith, and what a lovely picture behind you.
It is. It's Portobello Beach in Edinburgh, Sally. You'll recognise that. Many a happy hour spent there when I was a child, come rain or shine. So here it was in the east. In the west we saw glorious sunshine as well. This picture sent in from one of our weather watchers from the Isle of Bute. And indeed Orkney did eventually see the sun coming out as well. Another weather watcher's picture sent in earlier from Stromness. So as we head in towards the evening time, we will continue to see spells of sunshine across a good part of the country. Although in saying that, cloud is steadily building across eastern Scotland ahead of a weather front. That front will introduce outbreaks of rain eventually across the east, but staying dry in the west. Increasing amounts of cloud, the clearest skies towards the west coast, and temperatures falling to around about 5 to 7 Celsius, wind staying light. So tomorrow, a fairly cloudy start, good sunny spells in the west coast from first light, but that rain plaguing eastern areas, some heavy persistent rain moving northwards into Grampian, Caithness, eventually into Orkney, but Shetland actually escaping the rain, staying dry and sunny until evening. So as far as the rest of the UK is concerned, that weather front leaving a legacy of cloud across eastern areas, the best of the sunshine in the west. Highs of 17 Celsius and 17 Celsius here in Scotland, always cooler where we see that cloud and rain across eastern areas. The rain does eventually clear. We'll see some late sunshine in the east, dry for Sunday night into Monday. And high pressure actually building in for the beginning of next week, meaning a lot of dry settled weather. So Monday starts off mainly dry, good sunny spells, although cloud starts to increase across the far northwest. And we'll get warmer too. That's your forecast.
Thanks, Judith. And that's it from Judith and me and all of us here. Have a very good evening. Bye-bye.